Abraham Lincoln's story is not a story of easy victories. It is a story of endurance in the face of division. He led a nation when it was tearing itself apart. He carried responsibility heavier than any president before him. And he proved that leadership is defined not by comfort, but by courage during crisis. His life teaches one enduring truth. A nation survives when its leaders refuse to surrender to despair. Abraham Lincoln was born in 1809. In a small log cabin in Kentucky, his family was poor. His childhood was marked by hardship, loss, and relentless labor. Formal education was rare. Books were scarce. Yet Lincoln taught himself to read, to write, and to think deeply. Knowledge became his escape and later his strength. From an early age, Lincoln understood struggle. He worked as a laborer, a shopkeeper, and a lawyer. He failed in business. He lost elections. He faced personal grief. Again and again, life tested his resolve. Yet each failure sharpened his empathy, strengthened his patience, and deepened his understanding of human suffering. Lincoln believed deeply in the promise of the United States. He believed the nation was founded on an idea, that all people are created equal. But by the mid-1800s, that idea was under threat. Slavery divided the country. States argued over power and identity. Compromise grew weaker. The nation stood on the edge of collapse. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th President of the United States. Almost immediately, the nation began to break apart. Southern states declared their secession. The Union fractured. Before Lincoln could fully take office, civil war loomed. In 1861, war erupted between North and South. The United States was now fighting itself. Families were divided. Communities were torn apart. Hope seemed fragile. Lincoln faced the greatest challenge any American president had ever known: preserving the Union. The obstacles were overwhelming. The war was long and brutal. Casualties mounted. Victories were uncertain. Lincoln faced criticism from every side. Some believed he was too weak, others believed he was too harsh. Many doubted his leadership. Yet Lincoln remained steady. He believed the Union must survive not for power, but for principle. He believed democracy itself was being tested. If a nation built on freedom could not endure disagreement, then self-government would fail. As the war continued, Lincoln confronted the issue at its heart: slavery. In 1863, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. It declared freedom for enslaved people in rebelling states. The decision was risky, controversial, dangerous. But Lincoln understood that the nation could not survive half free and half enslaved. The war dragged on. Losses deepened. The public grew weary. Lincoln himself carried the burden heavily. Yet he never lost sight of the larger purpose: unity, freedom, and a future worth preserving. In 1863, at a battlefield called Gettysburg, Lincoln spoke words that would define the nation. He reminded Americans that the war was a test of whether a nation dedicated to liberty could endure. His message was simple. The struggle must continue so that government of the people, by the people, for the people would not perish. Slowly, the tide of war began to turn. The Union gained strength. The Confederacy weakened. In 1865, the Civil War came to an end. The Union was preserved. Slavery was on the path to abolition. The nation survived its darkest trial. Abraham Lincoln had achieved victory, but at great cost. He called for healing, not revenge. Unity, not punishment. His vision was reconciliation and renewal. Just days after the war ended, tragedy struck. In April 1865, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. The nation mourned. A leader who had carried the weight of the Union was gone. Lincoln's legacy endures. He proved that leadership means standing firm when the nation shakes. That courage is quiet. Persistence is powerful, and unity is worth sacrifice. He held a broken nation together not through force alone, but through moral clarity and compassion. From a log cabin to the White House, from division to reunion, Abraham Lincoln showed the world that even in the darkest hour, a nation can be saved by leaders who refuse to abandon its ideals. Just days after the Civil War ended, as the nation began to hope for healing, tragedy struck. On April 14, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln was attending a play in Washington, D.C. that night. He was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. a Southern sympathizer who opposed Lincoln's leadership and the end of slavery. Lincoln died the following morning. The nation was shocked. Grief spread across the country. A leader who had carried the Union through its darkest hour was gone. Abraham Lincoln did not live to see the full rebuilding of the nation he saved, but his legacy endured. He proved that leadership is not about force, but about moral courage, that unity is worth sacrifice, and that even in the face of hatred and violence, principles must stand, from a log cabin to the presidency. From division to reunion, Abraham Lincoln held a nation together and changed the meaning of freedom forever.